we are going to have a conversation around Benga music. We are very privileged today to have two gentlemen who are closely associated with Benga in terms of its history and in terms of ensuring that the documentation of that history, as well as even the contemporary practice, is something that strongly is maintained for the influence of other artists as well as the larger public. To my left, I've got Mr. Tabo Sosa, and Tabo Sosa is a long-time practitioner within the musical arts. He's a well-known producer of many years standing, and he's done lots and lots of works, producing different artists who are practicing Benga. And lately, in the last 8 years, has been focusing much more on documenting the history of Benga, and also having conversations around where this musical form is as at now, and probably where it should be able to influence the practice of popular music in Kenya as well as within the region at large. So welcome, Tabu. I've got also Paul Kalemba, alias Mado, and for all of us who knows Mado is a well-known documenter of different expressions and aspects of our art and culture. His family is known in terms of his visual art practice as a cartoonist. At the same time, he's been much more involved in documenting and being able to help different people appreciate different expressions of our visual art heritage within this country, Kenya, as well as East Africa. And together with Tabu, they've been working for the last 8-10 years in focusing on the documentation of Benga. So we are going to have a conversation around Benga. And I've got with me here their latest work. And this is a huge documentation that has been brought in book form. And they've called it Shades of Benga. The story of popular music in Kenya from 1946 and 2016 is going to be the basis of our conversation, plus other issues that we're going to touch on. I will start with Tabu. Tabu, maybe you could be able to explain why Benga? Why has your interest centered on Benga to the extent that you've dedicated a lot of your time and a lot of your work and a lot of your resources in ensuring that this kind of monumental work comes out?
Thank you again. The title of the book is Shades of Benga, but actually it is about popular music in Kenya, all genres. The reason why we call it Shades of Benga, because Benga is the dominant genre of music in the country.
Okay.
But even before I come to Benga, I think it's good to know when did popular music actually, what is the formative years
of popular music in
Kenya.
Yes.
And that goes back after World War II. That's in 1945. Then in 1946, when some returning soldiers who were actually Kenyans, who were in Burma and India, when they came back with the guitars, what is popularly known in Kenya as box guitar, but I mean acoustic guitar or Spanish guitar. That's when musicians like Fundi Konde, actually, in fact, I think is the one who is given a lot of credit for starting popular music by recording using guitar, I mean electric guitar. Okay. So the pioneers are people like Fundi Konde and those years. And the music, as you see, was very influenced by Latino music. Well, just for now, all I can tell you that there are many soldiers, but Fundi Konde was the most prominent among them.
Soldier musician kind of.
Yes, soldier musician, and then they started recording.
Music core, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they had a bunch of soldiers whose job was to entertain the others.
Oh,
we normally forget that in an army, there are even there are journalists. There are photographers
who are embedded
recording the events and so on. That's why we've got the World War, the World Wars and other wars on film.
So meaning that during World War, there were those who were doing the infantry work.
Yes.
Even in terms of religion, they were chaplains.
Yeah, exactly.
And
but not to say that people like Fundi Konde and his mates did not know how to fire a gun.
No.
I mean, they had guns.
Yes.
Yeah, but probably
most
in between fighting, they were exposed to the acoustic guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, from the white officers.
So as soldiers, they also brought in other talents that they had,
Exactly.
and they were able to share with others. And in this particular case, Fundi Kondi was one of those young Kenyans, only young East Africans who served within the World War, and was an artist, working together and also meeting other artists who are also soldiers like him.
Yeah, and as you can see, I was saying that most of the music that time was very much Latino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if you listen to old Fundi Konde music, most of them was Latino. Until later in the 50s,
Yes.
when we had some two Congolese who had a big influence in Kenyan music too. Mwenda Jabosco was one of them, and Edward Masengo.
From Congo.
They came from Eastern Congo.
Yes.
Yes, and they came with a different style of playing the guitar. They're actually more like a finger picking style, as opposed to strumming like that most Latino music had. And you know, also we have to know that when these guys came back with the guitars, the musicians who maybe didn't go to the
war, yeah.
they also picked up that. But see, these musicians had been playing using traditional instruments.
Yes.
Like for example the nyatiti, the orotu. So when they picked up the guitars, because they were not actually trained as Fundi Konde musically, they interpreted their traditional music using the guitar. Yeah.
Meaning that it's a new instrument.
Yes.
And you got also from your own cultural background.
Exactly.
And you'd want this particular new object or new thing to work for you, the way in which you're comfortable and the way in which you also perceive and see how it should be able to help you. Meaning that the Latino guitar, the box guitar, in the hands of musicians back here at home who are also masters and adept in playing traditional instruments, they transferred that particular practice of theirs by trying to see how this new musical instrument could be able to work for them.
Yeah, they took the instrument.
Yes.
But they necessarily don't take the style of music.
The style, the technique.
So
and the way
they used the instrument to interpret their own music.
Yes.
Yes. And if we go back to Benga straight, it was like the oroto and the nyatiti. You see where they saw it that when someone is singing, there's that call of so they started playing that.
So the melody follows a call.
Exactly. So they started now using the guitar to play exactly what they were playing before using the oroto and the nyatiti.
So that becomes like the beginnings of Benga.
That becomes like the beginning of Benga, but also, as I said earlier on, that they were also influenced greatly by Mwenda Jabosco. Who had come with the finger picking guitar style.
Okay.
Yeah.
So meaning that a musical instrument comes through interaction with the World War. People use this particular instrument to be able to express themselves the way they do with their traditional music, but at the same time, other influences are coming. They're listening to other music from other areas, other regions, and finding a way in which probably technique and the way of playing can be able to help them express themselves more on what they want to do. So Benga starts germinating out of that particular mix.
Very, very right. And also, there's also influence from Southern Africa, and that's how the US, the twist, and that's how people like Kabaka now also came after our independence. They now started also playing as twist was growing.
Yes.
So Benga was also growing, parallel. Yeah, in the 60s.
So meaning that it is a very busy environment. I mean, in terms of there's a lot coming from all directions in terms of influence. In terms of some people would pick what interests them and try to be able to make it work for them. So Benga is bubbling, twist is bubbling, and it is like that which appeals to the majority. So a popular culture of music, whether it is dance, whether it is just listening, whether it is just celebration, cropping up, but somehow you end up situating Benga to have had a major growth and influence around that time.
Yeah, but Benga came a little later.
Yes,
because as we were saying, we were both bubbling, but twist was much popular in the 60s
and earlier than Benga.
Yes.
So then other practitioners like Kabaka continued
doing the twist.
Yes.
Even the Benga pioneer,
Yes.
Madu can tell me if I'm wrong, someone like Ogara. Ogara Kaisa was actually regarded by many as the father of Benga. But he also experimented a lot with the twist. One song is called Celestina Juma, something like that. Celestina. And you can see it has a good lot of twist tune.
Yeah, Nairobi was a convergence.
Yes.
I mean, the influences come as far away from as Congo, where again, if I may just roll back a little, they had this instrument called likembe.
Yeah, the thumb piano.
Yeah, the thumb piano.
Yes.
So obviously, when the guitar came, especially the Spanish guitar, they just transferred
the sound
the fingerwork from the likembe to this to the new guitar, the new instrument that they had, and obviously, I mean, that's why they are known. We loosely call it the lead guitar.
Yes.
Is single note picking, ta, 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 as opposed to strumming a whole chord, you know, and the movements in between. But then, since Nairobi was, that boiling pot, the cauldron, as you've just mentioned, largely because of radio, the power of radio in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, of course. So we were exposed to so much. And again, it's important to note that Kenya is very, very culturally diverse. I mean, we've got different communities and so on, and getting them together was quite a task. And that's why from the beginning of the 60s, where twist had already taken root,
established itself,
and with Benga creeping in, by the early 70s now, Benga was pretty
big
strong.
Time,
it was big time, And don't forget there was also rumba, rumba on the sides, through the influences of the Congolese. So we had those three going on in Kenya. And that is to say, besides our own traditional kind of music, from central Kenya, eastern, the coast, western, and the Rift Valley. So from those diverse communities, these guys, you picked what was best. You see, I mean, twist never took root in northeastern Kenya, for example, or parts of the Rift Valley. But the Rift Valley grasped Benga.
Twist was much more earlier than...
Yes, exactly. But again, Nairobi as a cosmopolitan area was grabbing everything. So they've existed those, let me call them different categories or classes over time, especially in Nairobi. Over time, I mean, Nairobi of the 60s was still segregated musically. Eastlands, the Eastlands area had its following was of a specific kind of music. By the time the funky tunes came in the late 60s, and
much more from outside.
The influences of beginning with people like Chubby Checkers, kind of twist that Kabaka and his mates, John Zenzi and so on, took and ran away with, that kind of thing, and made it their own, that kind of thing. Thanks to the music producer, the late Charles Warren, who influenced them at Equator Sounds. Influenced them that this is what you're going to do. In fact, let me just mention also quickly that Equator Sounds band, where Kabaka and his mates played, had this Ugandan bassist called Charles Sonko.
As a studio musician.
Yes, kind of. But they backed for so many other groups.
He was based within that particular...
Sonko with the spelling double S.
Okay,
Sonko. Yes, not single S, Charles Sonko. And he was a damn good bassist. So Warren looked at him and told him for specific songs that they did, which is still popular in Kenya, still played. Harambe, Harambe, tuimbe pamoja. Warren zeroed in on Sonko and told him that I want a bass rock.
A bass line of that.
It has to be rock.
Yes.
So you have it. Dun, 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 dun.
A kind of dance.
Yes, exactly. You don't think about it. You just listen to it. Okay, it's Kenyan. But actually, if you listen to it, it's twist and it has that rock bass line. So besides that, there are these guys who now cropped up, people like Sal Davies and so on. Sal Davies began in the early 60s.
Mombasa.
Kind of countryish. I mean, singing things like Makini. I think he was also greatly influenced by Ray Charles. So he had that kind of stuff. But it all developed into what in one of our products we refer to as the funky hits of Kenya in the 1970s. Now, this particular music never appealed to people in rural Kenya. It was never there.
Yeah, that sound was not immediately appealing to them.
And again, radio, VOK at that time, the Voice of Kenya, obviously had these two main channels, English and Swahili.
Yes.
So if the funky hits, or a few of them will play on the English channel, they will not appear on the national channel, which was broadcasting in Swahili. That's where you found. More of rumba and other genres. Again, VOK had regional channels.
Yeah, regional stations that broadcasted for different parts of the country.
And that's where now, again, you find Bengal. You find Bengal. Early on, Tabu said that Bengal has been the dominant genre in this country, which is true. Which is, I think later on we'll come to probably what happened and so on. Yeah. But right now, it captured most of the population.
So the radio station has got regional stations that are broadcasting and harvesting lots of these musical expressions.
So much of that. Yeah.
And that had the chance of bringing in the possibility of Benga sounds being heard on some of these particular broadcasting stations.
Exactly so.